Welcome back, everyone. You're going to have to cover your ears for a second, okay?
Okay. All right, we'll do that. All right.
I must confess, I'm old enough that when I think about people that get involved in politics, or I think about people that work for the county or whatever, I'm about media communication. It's old school thinking, but it's really true. And one of the people I admire most is my guest, Ed Bartholomew, who I've known for over a decade now. You can uncover your ears now.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, and you dressed appropriately for the first time for my end of the year interview. So thank you.
Well,
so I don't have to look at your hairy legs for the whole 10 or 15 minutes.
You know what, Ed, I thought I'd look a little festive.
There you go.
You know,
you
I'm
are.
also auditioning for The Matrix after this, so
okay.
that's
good.
part of it. But I noticed the red sweater.
Right,
I didn't
blend in with your nice poinsettia here.
So Ed Bartholomew, I met over a decade ago, and wonderful history of always working in public service. And Ed is the head of economic development in Warren County. So it was time to bring Ed in. We come in periodically to talk about things that are going on in Warren County. It's the end of the year, 2016, a pretty active year up there. I've got a couple of things that I've been thinking about, of things that we've been covering.
Sure.
So I'll ask you a couple of questions about this, and then feel free to jump in too. Big one, $10 million grant that I think our neighbors in Albany and Schenectady were probably like, what the heck happened? Glens Falls got this. So congratulations. That was quite a maneuver.
To Schenectady's credit, we had phone calls from Schenectady officials and said, you know, Ed, we're going to be submitting, but we were, you know, blessed with the casino project, but we are going to compete against you for the another $10 million there. But we had a great plan put together, but it was a culmination of a couple of other plans. So that we've been working on it in 2011, the Community Development Plan on South Street, the URI, the Urban Revitalization Plan that we talked about here a couple of years ago. And then we were able to put, I think with these, our DRI, our Downtown Revitalization Plan together, and we won.
Yeah,
so now what do we do with the money?
Yeah, that's right. Well, you know, you are in the process now. We've been reporting on that.
Yes.
They're in the process now of saying, you know, listening to a lot of different constituents in Glens Falls about the best use for that money.
We've got about 10 million ideas for the $10 million.
Can I get in there?
Absolutely. So a couple of the priority projects we're looking at is a development of a year-round farmers market in downtown. That will also involve other uses. Secondly, and right up at the top, is the bringing of the Culinary Institute from SUNY to Adirondack into downtown Glens Falls. That will be nearby. And I think that will provide just a whole new shot of energy downtown by having SUNY participate. Dr. Duffy has just been terrific in advancing the need to be in a downtown setting. So those are two projects right off the bat that we're going to be working on, and then we get into some more traditional but important. We need more retail in downtown Glens Falls. Saratoga has got to jump a couple of paces ahead of us. The only way we're going to speed that process up, we need more residential living downtown. Not more traffic, more foot traffic in downtown.
Sure.
Then retail will come, but it still will be a while before that kicks in.
Well, you know what? I interviewed Dr. Duffy, and we were talking about the culinary school. That, of course, the big project, Sonny Bonaccio, 14 Hudson.
Right.
They turned the mill into a successful operation.
Correct.
You know, if anybody in downtown Glens Falls will tell you, as you know, my wife and I live in Glens Falls, and we're downtown. There's a lot more foot traffic. So you're right. Retail will follow, and that's the next step. I mean, you and I have been watching you a lot longer than I have, but for over 10 years I've been watching that.
Yeah.
You know, and with a little thing called a recession got in the way, but
2008.
You know, really, congratulations to you and everybody working on that.
We just had a great,
really
team effort from the city and other consultants and officials to get that, and thanks to the governor for selecting Glens Falls.
Now, of course, we started with Glens Falls, but we're kind of the base of Warren County. But you got a big responsibility as a head of economic development for Warren County. And broadband, big issue.
Yeah.
You know, across the nation it's a big issue, but we happen to live in one of those areas that's not only geographically challenging for broadband, but also rural and urban mix. And as you start to move out into Warren County, the complexion becomes completely different.
We are in desperate need for improved coverage in underserved areas in the North Country as well as in unserved areas. And it starts from the cell coverage from a safety point of view to business development. We have a number of part-time residents that want to come up and enjoy the Adirondacks. And they'd like to perhaps extend their stay a few days of the week and work. They can't do that. And people that are on the lake, in the mountains, Brant Lake, Lake George, wherever, we have just a continuous plethora of inquiries and criticism about that. So we were able this past year to work very closely, and we've identified 3 programs, and off the bat, and again, Governor Cuomo has come to the aid of the North Country by developing a New York program that will assist in actually providing a subsidy for the providers to go into the depths of the Adirondacks, because from a competitive point, they're not going to spend Time Warner or Verizon, Comcast, or whoever that is, money to serve 4 or 5 residents in one street, 2 or 3 on another. So through that program, through the program of the Federal Communication Commission, one of your favorite agencies, by the way, they have an E-rate program that will help serve schools and libraries in the area. So by taking those 2 programs together, and with the announcement that Senator Gillibrand came to Glens Falls about a month and a half ago and announced her introduction of increased funding for rural America, including upstate New York, Congresswoman-elect again Stefanik has joined in on that bipartisan legislation to provide an increase of funding through USDA. So very confident we can put all 3 of these programs together in 2017 and increase our ability. I was at a public hearing this week in North Creek. Frontier Communications has taken advantage of the North Creek Hamlet area to improve coverage in that area. It's a small step, but a significant step under the governor's program.
You know, it is really, it's a priority nationally when you realize that this connectivity issue, which is what we're talking about here, I tend to think it helps the younger generations because they need it for educational purposes and, of course, entertainment purposes. You make another important point. There are people that would love to be able to do business in these areas and or just do business out of their homes up in those areas, and they can't because of the connectivity issues.
And
so
the point with
priority.
education, Jess, is that more and more schools are requiring homework online. That is just impossible in the northern part of Warren County.
And let's face it, you know, one of the things for economic growth is to be able to compete. And if we can get those rural communities up to speed in terms of their ability to communicate, they'll be able to compete.
It makes a more leveraging of the playing field, level it out
a little bit. Boy, Ed, there's just so much that you're involved with. I'm amazed. You're like the Energizer Bunny. So
it's that good Glens Falls water from Just Water. That's
there you go. Oh, I knew you were going to get that in. Well, Ed, thank you very much for coming in. I want to mention one thing before we go. Ed's very involved with the United Methodist Church in Glens Falls, and you've heard me say this at a couple of times. We need volunteers for the Christmas breakfast. Right. And now that you see Ed's involved, you know, it's the sympathy vote now, Ed. You know, if you're involved, please help this guy out. But please, if you can volunteer, and I'll give you the phone number at the end of the program today again. Well, Ed, Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to you.
Just
and your
great to see you as always.
2 granddaughters.
Thank you very much. To see this interview again, you can head to our website, looktvonline.com.